all these riches, and we decide, nah, there's still people that are in, and there's people that are out, and we've closed up shop in certain church traditions now, and it's highly disturbing. So as I'm saying, I feel at this time of my life that I'm, it is the ecological theologians, it's the Quakers, it's the Catholics, it's the Black theologians. Those are the people that are feeding my faith and keeping me going.
Wow.
There's a broad spectrum, and we can embrace that.
Affinity Xtra, be extra.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not necessarily represent the views of Affinity Xtra.
Yeah, people. This is your boy here, Roger Jeol, and Affinity Xtra, celebrating gospel music of black origin. And listen, man, I have had a blast from the past. Hit my phone up, and the beauty of it, we don't actually change our numbers because we don't have to worry about things, and we don't have no dub play dramas. We ain't got no Jada Pinkett and Will Smith lifestyle going on. But anyway, so yeah, don't want to put myself out there, so give myself a trouble. Don't worry, I haven't changed my phone since I was 20. No, since I got my first phone. I had my phone since I was 20. I'm 45 now, so same number anyway. So say everything's all good. So if you still got my number, just give me a holler anyway. So yeah, but I'm alongside somebody who's been around in the rap scene in Birmingham for a while. I have people mention at a particular event, Londoners kind of mention it, like saying, "Oh yeah, there's this little thing in Birmingham called Cypher back in the day," and I'm like, "Little thing." Mate, you guys were dying to come up here and spit some bars up here. But, something on a serious note, guys, and I really do think that the growth of, I want to be talking today about the growth of UK rap, what it looked like a good number of years ago, going back into the late 90s, early 2000s, and what it looked like, how hard it is, how hard it was, but also the great things that some of the people that around that time are doing now to this day. Now I'm talking to somebody who I met a couple of years ago. Believe it or not, the reason why our paths never met. Let me just explain before we go into anything. Before you go, how you interact, Roger, and you never went to ciphers and stuff. Let me just put it out there, guys. Yeah, I'm a church boy. I ain't gonna hide nothing about it. I'm a church boy. I grew up listening to Andrew Crouch. I ain't be begging no Beastie Boys. I ain't begging no old school rapping or whatsoever. There, so you're not begging no Jay-Z when he first came on the scene. I don't know that stuff because I grew up in church. The key elements I did find is as I developed and evolved, I wanted to use effective tools to impact the young people, and rap became an effective tool. And I love rap and I play rap to this very day. But I fell in love with rap in a period when Goto Records came out with Grits and different bands like that, and that sound really connected with me, and especially when that mode came out, that was just one that really brought me into rap, because I'm a mature Christian even at my young age, and I didn't want to just hear about soft lyrics. I needed to be lyrically hit me, but there's gonna be some twists. There's people like Tony Rats that impacted me as well, so we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk with that, and I'm just tasting everybody else. Anyone who knows me, I always chat like this at the beginning and get all excited because I'm next to a general, or unknown general, unseen general of the Birmingham the UK rap scene, and he's based in Birmingham, and his accent's not quite Birmingham. He'll definitely explain that. But Joel Wilson, please introduce yourself, my bro.
Okay, well, my name's my rap name is Joel the Custodian.
Okay.
And I've had different names over the years. But I got started in rapping in 1991, which is also the year that I moved to Birmingham. So like my rap journey starts really with coming to Birmingham and having fallen in love with the hip hop of like Gang Starr, Tribe Called Quest, Yellow Soul, that era, that vibe, Public Enemy. So that's what got me started, but honestly, that would have just been a hobby. That would have been completely private, and just for me. Had it not been for some of the gospel rappers in London. So when I eventually went to university, 1993, 1994 is when I started.
So I'm gonna spot you out now. How old was he in 91?
How old was I in 1990? Oh, I would have been 17.
17 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Yeah. So
So I'm, late starter.
yeah, I'm saying, Mr. Mate, I was definitely late starter because I was only influenced by MC Hammer them days anyway. So so he's just laughing because they didn't rap. But anyway, but okay, right. So how did rap get connected? Because for me, I grew up in the white community. You know what I'm saying? And if you ever notice, guys, Joe, we all just back in them days, everybody just associated black guys. But the thing is now, we never had no.
I'm almost gothic. Yeah. I'm almost gothic. I'm so white. For sure.
I did not say that, dude. Because listen, we growing up on TV watching it. There was no really MTV raps there. We never even had. It was so hard to connect to American music, and I want to really hit onto that because we have to realize we never had emails of MP3s coming across and different things like that. Yeah. So how did that work?
I mean, for me, what happened was I was falling in love with what you would call mainstream hip hop.
Yeah.
And I was always looking out, reading like youth teen magazines.
Okay,
about
cool.
Like what's happening in terms of Christian rap.
Yeah.
Where there's some other things, and then you're like, okay, there's this group called Dynamic Twins. Okay, I'll check those out. Or Gospel Gangsters.
Yeah.
And then 1991 would have been the year also where gospel rap really kind of took a big step in terms of vibe and sound, because Preachers in Disguise, or POD, released The Chosen Ones, and The Chosen Ones was so hard. So if you're thinking about the hardness of Public Enemy, Cool G Rap, Boogie Down Productions, and so EPMD style, right? Okay, the hardness.
Yeah.
But there was this rap album which was just dope. It was dope. So like The Chosen Ones, POD, that was like a turning point. And I think like in terms of the confidence and the ownership and the sense of like we're a part of something, we're a part of the scene had started to actually happen. So that's how I got into it. So it's youth magazines.
It's true, because but the thing is POD as well, because they went kind of rocky more later on in it. Would you say?
And think about also Soldiers for Christ. So you had Soup the Chemist.
So,
around the same time, and so those albums are like, those stand up to me. They stand up to like you call secular records. They completely stand up. Crazy. And that's like 91, 92.
Were the independents at the time, or POD, or would have signed?
They would have been signed. But I mean, I've talked to those guys, and they've just talked about how there was absolutely a racism within the industry then, within the Christian music industry. It was kind of like, can we package it? How do we know how to do this? Yeah. But who was winning the Dove Awards? Toby Mac.
Yeah. Oh,
you know some of that stuff, that story, and I think Toby Mac recognized that there was a problem, but it
benefits from it, don't it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And big up to Toby still, because like I said, he did hit Goto. Goto Records was a massive inspiration to me, because I was a bit of a please don't tell nobody Jesus DC Talk fan. Yeah. Because of Supernatural and Jesus Freak. Them albums, I bought the books, the Martyrdom books, everything to do with Jesus Freak. I bought, man, Supernatural. I absolutely loved the Jesus Freak. And obviously DC Talk goes back a bit further back with because there was more, I would say, more rappy before that. Yeah. And then he came up with Goatee, and I just loved the way he had Christafari, he had Out of Eden, and he had Grit. Yeah. He brought out, he used the three main elements of I would say black music back then, you know what I'm saying, and really gave it the polish it needed, rather than it just gave it that grit. Especially Grits was like, I know people didn't really like the sound in terms of it was very authentic, you know what I'm saying, but I liked them, you know what I mean. I personally did, you know what I mean. So people said, Roger, you're not really into stuff, it's cross movements all day, you have to go with cross movements.
But let's bring in one other thing that was happening, and it was about the fact that those times you had to do crate digging, you had to go on a search. That search was not on typing something into it was a search. Go to shop. So if you searched a little bit, your ear suddenly went, wait a moment, what's that? Yeah. So Boogie Monsters, the recognized thresholds of negative stress. You listen to Boogie Monsters music and you're like, wait a moment, are these men Christians? And so what's happening is that there's the gospel scene, there's the secular scene, and there's, over and over again, I've been the kind of person who's bumped into people that are stuck in between. They're stuck, they're stuck somewhere else. And Boogie Monsters was one of those.
So when and I must admit, when I really captured rap, I got really dorky with it, and I bought all sorts of rap, anything that sounded rap. I kind of bought, and you got the different sounds there, and something that really came out to me was Tunnel Rats. You know what I mean? Even though I loved my lamp mode, but Tunnel Rats, before lamp mode came out, you know what really turned me for Tunnel Rats as well? I did a show with Tunnel Rats. Oh, what's the lead guy? Dax, Rafi, came up and Propaganda. Yeah, and when you listen to the lyrics, they probably go, "Oh, these guys are just about Christian," and but when you actually see them backstage and talk to these guys are sold out on this thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they go, "I can't judge the man on what he's saying through his lyrics." You know what I'm saying? It really hit me at that point. But going back to what you're saying in terms of the clear definitions that Christian music wanted to put on rap, where it probably needed to be something different. And let's talk about that struggle, bro, because it was a struggle for a lot of rappers to be to always have to say either you're a Christian rapper or you're a rapper who is a Christian, which is the battle, which was really a thing which I think, I wouldn't say messed up the growth in the UK, but was a challenge in that period, because people said, right, you gotta rap pure hardcore theology or rap life.
Well, this was, again, exchanging notes with other rap groups over the years. There would be some people that would have that attitude of we are ministers. God's kind of called us to this. We're ministers. Make sure we're prayed up before we go on stage. And I remember people saying, we wouldn't go on stage unless we were in the right space, because they felt like, this is a ministry. It's something that's precious. Cool. So that was some people. And then with the group I was in, Michaelis, we were all like, we're these scrawny white guys, and we're all in different places theologically. It was a mess, and we rapped about the mess of our lives. Everything from why England always lose on penalties. That's what we rapped about. We had a track called The Eschatological Overlap. So we went into the theology, and we went into some of the dark stuff about who we are and what we aspire to be, but what real life is like when you fail. That's one of the main themes in my back catalog is failure.
And I think artists like NF right now, I know he's in that place and he stays in that zone a bit too long for me, but he does a zone where it really, you're in a dark room and you play that track, you know what I'm saying, bro? You're feeling in that space, and there's a time and place for that as well. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? I think we need to be willing with that.
The thing is, if we just momentarily fast forward to right now, this year, I'm releasing an album which is 100% lamentation. 100%. And it's the first time I've done something where I'm like, I really need to just lean into it and it's about grief and anger and writing your own personal psalms. So the question is, where's the light? Where's the hope? Where's the good stuff? And the thing is, I'm when you're struggling yourself and you're holding on to God's promises, but at the same time, you're like, I'm just going to speak out what I'm experiencing, and God can take it. That's the thing. The thing is, with Lamentations that you see in the Old Testament, there is some heavy, spicy stuff that people address to God, and God can take that. In fact, it's in Scripture.
But the thing is, when it comes to that poetic element of the Bible, everyone focuses on Songs of Solomon's and the beauties of certain things, but they don't look at Ecclesiastes. They don't want to look at Lamentations. You know what I mean? Which is a highly reflective art form. Solomon says some very deep things. A lot of people say about, Solomon did this, Solomon did that, but then Solomon reflected on what he did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and he says, listen, in all things follow God. Just follow God, because you know what? All life is mean. He says, listen, I've been through this, and we still kind of not really talk about that. But that lamentation thing, that's something interesting, bro. Because I think that being vulnerable through our music, because we almost have to we have to perform now as a Christian rapper. Do you find yourself having to perform? When you got someone like let's be harsh on 50 Cent. When they're doing gangster rap, and they're rapping about not their story, yeah. But now with Christianity, we're kind of rapping from our viewpoint.
Yeah.
Do you feel better when you kind of just say as it is from yourself, from your heart, who you are, rather than going, okay, how are people going to take this? I need to do it like this. I need to shake that out there. I need to mold like this to be more palatable. Or you're at a stage of your life where you just say, yo, mate, take it or leave it. Whether I go 1 copy or got 1 million copies, I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, well, I got a long answer to that, but the short answer to that is it's like I've almost been saving up my swears for this time of my life. Honestly, the world that we're living in now, and the amount of pain and suffering, we're not just talking about on the periphery of our life. We're talking about your life and my life, and the people that we know, and the people that are grieving, and the people that we're grieving for. That's happening right now. So like, if I was ever going to do some swearing, now is the time. And again, that is like letting it all out. And certainly it's a contentious issue, and my album will have like a radio version. That will be an absolute one. Yeah. I know it's contentious, but at the same time, I just said, like, I'm suffering. My mental health is in a bad space.
Come on.
So if we go, so we can go back to just kind of talking about that.
Cool.
That kind of, again, that in between, the people that were in between.
Go on.
So there was groups like Cerebralistics, which is a big Finnish rap group, again, with a Christian backbone to them. And since then, they've all kind of taken different directions. I think Jeol from Cerebralistics.
Okay.
Look, I'm not going to go too obscure. He's since become a Muslim. So then you've got another massive Finnish rapper, Rudolph, is going for it Christian, but completely within the secular scene.
Okay.
So there is absolutely the space. Again, there's a group called Praxis, Spanish Christian group, done loads of youth work through the years. Lovely guys, and I think they're leaning more into that space of like, let us do something that's raw, that's going to engage people. And then, of course, percussions. The percussions had that space where I think they were going to get signed to Raucous, and then Raucous fell apart as a record label. Wow. So you would have had this like Christian voice within the kind of the underground. I mean, I could go on, and some of these names won't mean anything to you, but actually it just goes to show how broad
it was in the 90s,
the spectrum. So on almost. Yeah, and it's weird to think of, like, at one point in American gospel hip hop, on one end of the spectrum was Lamp Mode and Cross Movement, and on the other side was LA Symphony. LA Symphony, man, with the party rap. And the role is that. So the question then becomes, what is the role of music and in our lives? And then there, of course, has to be an NF. So that we can lean into that sorrow,
that space,
and then of course there needs to be LA Symphony, where you're a 23-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 17-year-old. You live in California, and you're like, I'm gonna go to a party.
And they play their tracks, man. Is it Boogie? Like, I remember when they did that. Is it DJ Madge and they did an album together, DJ Madge and LA Symphony? No, there was on an album. Oh no, DJ Madge did a mixtape or something, and they had a track on it. LA Symphony, and you go, oh Lord, there's that guy called, oh my goodness sake, I can't believe his name. Omad or Omad. It's gone for me now. There's a rapper. I'm gonna try and remember him. But a lot of guys from that period now, like you said, you have the two segments, and I think that this is, we're talking about 90s going to early 2000s, guys, and I think what we have to recognize, you know, and one thing I tried to draw down, and I don't want to be too harsh on people today when it comes to rap and what we've seen in UK rap and even European rap. I think that we feel that European rap is it's like going to Transylvania, you know what I mean, and and we're there to liberate them. But they don't realize is that there's always been a thirst and a hunger and rappers in the European scene. It's just that we have never really bothered to look from a UK gospel perspective. And like you said, from Finland to Spain, I mean, I worked with a group from Holland. I can't remember the name again, what I'm saying. But there always always seems to be somebody somewhere in that period of the 90s that was almost doing that thing, and you had leaders like I wouldn't say leaders as such, but like groups like Tunnel Rats, who was even challenging the form in terms of battle rapping. You know what I'm saying? And people like, you can't battle rap.
Here's some more stuff on. I mean, the Tunnel Rats is very interesting because Tunnel Rats is birthed in the Good Life Cafe. So if you know anything about the growth of hip hop on the West Coast, one of those things was the Good Life Cafe. Out of the Good Life Cafe came artists like Freestyle Fellowship, Propaganda, Murs. There was a thing called Project Blowed. So this was out of that Good Life came this real collective of rappers who were melodic, they had a certain sensitivity to them. They were able to battle, but they were conscious. And out of that comes Raffi, Tonal Rats. And so if you go back and watch the Good Life documentary, you will see that Christians are involved. People that are vocally Christian are involved, and they have a space within the secular scene, and they are respected. And again, if you even look at Murs is a underground and a mainstream rapper. He's somewhere in between.
So Murs is gonna put it with D1.
Yeah. Exactly. And Murs loves Christian rap, and I don't know whether he calls himself a Christian. I think he is a man of faith. How did you feel
about that project?
Sorry?
Did you? Have you listened to it? Yeah. How did you feel when you saw it come up? Because I play a couple of tracks off there. There's a part where they're almost battling about Christianity and whatsoever, which I think is really great. Because I know I like when two Christians do it, but when you got somebody who's not a Christian and that got skills versus somebody, and for me, I'm laughing at D1 because you rap, you're coming against a big man in the game. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. So
with Murs now, how did you feel? How did you feel about that combination?
I think that I'm used to that when we when I was releasing my first records with various groups. We wanted to put on other Christian rappers, so like Jahazel was on our record, Testament, and it just made sense that we care about our secular friends, our mainstream friends, but it just felt like, hey, we're going in this direction. It'd be great to have some rappers that were in the same kind of philosophy, have the same philosophy of life.
As time has gone on, who's Testament?
Testament is a rapper and theater maker. You hear him quite a lot on Radio 4 now.
Okay.
But he released an album which included people like J Live on it. He's friends with Corin Bailey Ray. He did a track with Corin Bailey Ray and Soweto Kinch. So he's based up north. He's based in Manchester. So again, it was just lovely having that northern connection.
And this is a scene that has been bubbling from the 90s, and I think this is one thing. When Joel hit me up and he says, "Yo, Roger, I want to we'd love to touch base about it." I said, "Yo, we need to interview." I jumped on it because the thing is, I'm all for documenting history and documenting conversations about history because it builds a picture. You know what I'm saying? And too often that we're always building on sand, but we have to realize that we're building on strong foundation. You know what I'm saying? And the beauty of it, as I was running around doing my church gigs, you guys were doing some hip hop stuff where when I got saved, when I got saved, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna chuck away. I just got the Bratz singles. I was obviously a commercial guy anyway, so I grew up in a suburban area. I just love my commercial rap, Ski Low and all them stuff. My friends would tease me about it, all this stuff anyway. But I was buying that 2-pack Big and stuff. And I just said, you know what, still, let me look at gospel rap. And gospel rap was not doing it. I was going to the shop and it just wasn't doing it for me. So I said, you know what, I just got to leave rap alone. And I walked away from rap at the age of 16, 17 because I couldn't see good Christian rap at the time. So it took about 2, 3, 4 years later that I started to engage back in rap, the rap scene, and especially in my early 20s when Lamp Mode came out. People can think, why are you going to Lamp Mode all this time? I loved authenticity. I love East Coast. I loved authenticity of the East Coast sound. I'm that guy. But at the same time, you have to theologically change me. You can't just talk about putting your guns down and get saved. It doesn't do nothing for me. I mean, I want you to take me a place. That's why I'm very interested in your product, because your album, because sometimes we pretty talk so much, you know what I'm saying, about, you know, heaven's gonna be this, heaven's gonna be that place. I know this, I just call it worship. I got a couple of worship tracks like that that's just like heaven. But sometimes we have to talk about this hell on earth right now that we're going through. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. And that Christians get it isn't easy, bro. It hasn't. I don't know, for the past two years, bro, being almost locked in a cage, and when we come out of the cage into World War whatever. Yeah,
and at this point it becomes a sense of brotherhood. Yeah, with other people. Yeah, man. With, you know, we're going through this together. Yeah. And it's a place of connection with people. You know, my audience, what I'm doing now is I'm making an audience for 30, 40, and 50 somethings. That's what I'm doing. I'm making rap 100%. Music for people, hopefully in the Midlands and further afield.
Yeah, no, kid.
But I want to tell stories, and I want to, in a sense, with this album, I do want to just get out all of that I feel like the poison that I've been swallowing all.
So, yeah. All right, let's look at your music career. So you're going back. When was the first product that you kind of was part of? And you said you was part of certain groups. Yeah. Explain the type of the groups that you were part of as well.
Well, the first group that I released something with was called Dead Poet Society, and that included a rapper called Rallo and a DJ Dust, who Nathan Corona is now a music video maker.
For who?
He makes music for like Tripoli, Lecrae, Andy Mineo. If you've seen any of their videos, there's a particular look to the videos.
Oh yeah.
There's a kind of a nice Polaroid vibe to it.
Yeah.
The Polaroid filter thing, that's Nathan Corona. So I was in a group with Nathan Corona and Rallo.
Because Corona films in it, like, does he call it films? Is it Corona?
It's called Dust Brand Films. And,
Okay.
So I was just there for a short time. I was in the US and I formed this group. My plan was always to come back to Birmingham, do music, do youth work. That was my plan. I was just there for a very short time.
So you know your accent now? Yeah. You're born in England.
My mother's from California. So I was born in Ireland with a Californian mum and an Irish dad. So that's my weirdness in terms of my accent. I represent Birmingham, but nobody would know. It's a bit sad. But what happened? So what happened with after that? Was that I was heading back to the UK. I said to the other guys, you know what? I think you're going to find a better rapper than me to replace me in this group.
Wow.
Even before I leave, I think you're going to find someone better. They bump into this rapper called Manchild or Greg Owen, and who's from Deep Space Five, you know, he's rapped on MF Doom album, and he's a monster rapper, like I mean, technically in so many ways better than me. So that was very satisfying when that happened, and they formed a group called Mars Ill, which kind of, for a little while was kind of a thing.
Sorry guys, this is the period when I first got getting back in rap, and what I would do, I'll go into CLC, and you know the albums that nobody buys, yeah. So I'll find the rap albums that nobody buys, like I wouldn't say it wasn't Mars Hill. What's that other group you said before?
Deep Space Five.
I remember buying that album, going, we want this. You know what I mean? And I would just pick out loads of rap, because I just built my rap collection of albums. And I remember that cover album. It's like a brown cover, like a Yeah, and you had record companies in that period. It reminds me of Uprock. Is it Uprock?
Yeah, that's right.
Uprock's
Uprock,
record.
yeah.
Uprock
sure.
records and them guys coming through and starting a crazy thing. So so you come back to Birmingham.
Come back to Birmingham, and right in the first few months that I'm back in Birmingham, I do two things.
Go on.
I go to a night called Chocolate City. I decide to paint my whole head, not just my face, my whole head blue. So you've got white rappers, you got black rappers, and you have a blue rapper.
Stand out, guys.
And there's still people that are like, hey, I remember that blue thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I did that. I just felt like I wanted to stake my claim. Here I am, a part of the scene.
Cool,
I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, cool.
And then the other thing that happened is I met these two rappers, Damage and Too Tall, and we formed a group. Pretty much, and the what they were doing was so exciting and funny. When I met them, they were playing Noriega tracks on a tiny little electric toy guitar, or they were blowing into whiskey bottles to make tunes, like they were playing hip hop tunes, but through whiskey. I was like, these are my people.
Yeah.
It was such a wonderful moment. So that group was
creativity,
called Michaela's Constant, and we just had a little moment in the.
How long were you together?
For 4 years.
4 years is
So
a little moment. 4 years.
We did a good amount of stuff in terms of gigs in Birmingham and a little bit further afield, and then after that we formed. This is the thing. We formed a hip hop social club called Phantom Limb. And this is where that got interesting, because we had formed friendships with kids that we were teaching doing youth work. And we were like, hey, you guys are tight rappers. Come on in. Let's form this little social club. Let's make each other stronger. Let the older rappers give that space for the younger rappers.
Cool.
Let there be the teaching.
And this wasn't just kids from church. These are non-church kids.
These are non-church.
Which is fantastic.
And we were bringing in people like, Mantis. Praying Mantis, and,
yes, my boy,
and Dark Water Quartz, and we were inviting. I think we were inviting people from Moorish Delta to be a part of the social club, and then we also invited Sammy G.
Oh yeah.
He was just getting started really with his rap, and so he had a very much a slow West Coast vibe.
Oh
this was prior to him.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's a brilliant performer. He really developed in his style. So we just invited people, and there was about 15 of us, and it was not so much even about like making a record together as much as it was, let's hang out together. Let's that pushing, that iron sharpens iron. I'm gonna write a dope verse. Can you beat my verse? Just that fun. Yeah. So it was that, and then I've done a few things since then, and currently I go by Jeol the Custodian, and so that's
so
a
have
little
you
bit
released
of the journey.
a solo album before?
I've done a few solo albums. I released a solo album, which was basically for a birthday present for my wife.
Okay, cool. All right.
And I just kind of went overboard. I just kept on. I was like, I think I got another song here. So I just kept on going with that. So that was called Colloquial. And then I did another album called My Organs Are Yours, which was released on a little label called Zang. And
any of your music's out now on can people go to your digital network?
Yeah, well,
if
you just go to joelthecustodian.bandcamp.com.
Bandcamp, okay, good. We'll put the links in the description here. Don't worry, guys.
There's kind of a retrospective of my stuff.
No way.
So there you go. That's
and
my
then,
journey.
so how long now have you left it since your last album?
2009.
So you got over a decade.
Yeah,
over a decade. Now, how does a rapper that has rapped, on a casual basis, but to put it into a scene which has grown and changed and amalgamated. How was that, bro? Because you're coming from an era, you're talking about the 90s rap, you know what I'm saying, which you don't want to be the granddad that's trying to do something which is your, when they're trying to do a trap track, you got a guy that, it's just like, you don't want to be that guy that's trying to be youthful when all the kids go, oh goodness sake. But all the same, how did you picture yourself to your sound? Because I know you listen to all the sounds out there. You know what I'm saying? But how did you say to yourself, commit yourself to the sound of this album?
it's about being playful. Honestly, and you know, I feel like, you know, in between 2009 and now, I made a rap film. I made a medieval rap film.
Yes,
based
I've seen that. Yes. Prey Mantis is in it. Yeah,
Prey Mantis is in it, and it's based on John 3:15. If you just go to John 3:15, you can get a sense of what this film is about. So I was writing raps, but with trying to include some of the medieval terminology and the kind, even
Shakespearean,
even the theology.
Yeah.
The pre-Reformation theology, I was trying to bring that into the actual. That really wore me down. I was exhausted. I was exhausted.
Is anti-Lutheran next to us?
So yeah,
but
it was pre-Enlightenment. I think is the idea, and so people's relationship to who they thought God was. It was different. There was a different element of humility then in the medieval times that as soon as the Enlightenment happened, it became, the world was about humans and it wasn't God's world anymore. It was more like humans' world. You know. So that affects everybody's theology.
So we've been in this journey, Christian journey for many years. We've got our highs and lows. We're big men here. I'm in my mid-40s. I've been in all my life now. But it's not like we get bored. Is that we've heard a lot of the, I would say, surface level messages like the back of our hands. But then you like myself started digging into doctrinal stuff, theologies. And remember the battle of Arminian versus Calvinism. There was a big massive fallout of that in the rap scene, because that was a major within an element of Christian rap. I don't know if it just literally broke a scene at the time. You know what I mean?
I mean, at that point, thankfully
you just missed off just before.
I just missed it. I wasn't involved in any of that. It was like that was at that point. It was just it was not important to me. In fact, you know, hand on heart, the thing that most excited me was the Birmingham scene.
Wow.
Okay? And the Midland scene, not gospel rap, not secular rap, but first and foremost, Jerusalem is from Birmingham.
Wow.
Zabe Dust is from Birmingham. We're talking about like such heavy hitters, you know. And I love like Malik from Morse Delta. Oh man, that guy's voice and delivery is something beautiful. So yeah, I was like, I want to be the champion for who's local. And, you know, maybe I haven't always been the best at that, but there's still people coming out now Tremendous. You know, Lady Leisha is from Solly Hill. You know, Sanity. She's getting really good. So that's what I'm excited about. And so maybe that was a part of even the idea of what I had about ministry. Ministry was being grounded in a place, rooted in a place, and it meant that you just started to gain this love for the people that were your people in your community, people you'd see face to face. And it was amazing. Like the rappers that I get to see face to face, some of those people are the most impressive vocalists that I've ever met. And some of them are still playful. So I think when going back to the question about what was my approach, well, I feel like there's so much more territory to go in. I don't want to have just one style. I want to just play with other styles. And I recognize that there's styles that are like, they're for other eras, the other genre. But like even within this album, there's stuff that feels very, very electronic, almost in the realm of like strange electronic music.
The sampler, I hit on this sampler, guys, and I was like, yo, that is Jeol, all right, you know. And it's not even with the electronic element. It's like it's almost be there to be a Daniel. It's almost a case of I'm not going to, and this is my battle in the UK gospel scene, and my conversation with Yinka the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like this. Do you, Jeol? Yeah. Don't listen to the sound of today, or not sound of today, the popular sound. And try and make a track which that has you and that in it.
Yeah.
I still sincerely think that successful rappers in the past, in the gospel scene, never tried to sound like somebody else. We as much as I was a fan of Lecrae, like, yeah, this is Lecrae, let's be real, he did his thing. 116 Click had a sound which I was like, what is this? And they reached a generation that even I'm coming from a traditional sound, Todd Bangs and all that so on, and then all of a sudden these guys came with style, Triple E and Flame, and I'm like, what's this? You know what I'm saying? But then that absolutely blew up and became very, very authentic and great in itself. And I think the importance of each wave of the rap scene is cross movements. When they came through, they did what they are. And I think what I liked about the sampler that got the preview of is like, yeah, man, this is Joel's just doing him. And you know what, still, when even if you might think, oh, this is a bit different too, but there's an audience out there in rap scene is massive. Because in 91, when we were teenagers, when we were kids, teenagers, we were like, the rap scene was almost a case of, certain shops and that's it, and it was a small section of Virgin Megastore. It wasn't really a serious part, but seeing rap today, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I've got there's guitars on the album. There's soulful singing. I've got some amazing vocalists on there.
Cool.
There's cuts. That's something that like left hip hop. For many people have just never thought of like a DJ actually cutting a record.
Wow.
And just like scratches and the beauty of what scratching can do.
But it's not much scratch. I was talking to Zara about this the other day because DJ Zara just scratch mixing, and he's had people from America hit him up to do scratch mixing for them because it's a dying art form. Yeah. Why do you think that? Is it because of the new rap scenes kind of marginalised the core skills? Because that is a core skill of hip hop. How can we get rid of scratch mixing? You might have to bring to Zara. You might bring into a big debate. That'll be. Next time we have the hip hop thing, we'll hip hop there. We bring it in or whatever. But that all the rudiments of rap. Yeah. For me, scratch mixing is important.
I think the two things that happened were one.
Go on.
Was that people just wanted to do everything digitally. Everything, there was some MIDI stuff, but it was like a digital thing, so you didn't have to worry about sample clearance. You could just do. You could be an in-house producer yourself. You produce your own stuff. It would like be a one-man or one-woman show. So I think that's a part of it. And then, weirdly enough, the internet changed things. When we had our UK Christian hip-hop get-together in Birmingham, the social media thing wasn't really happening.
No, it wasn't.
So it was a special event. Yeah. There was connections that you made there that were weird connections that you just didn't think. I mean,
it's a social gathering in itself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that was our social media at the time for the rap scene.
So what happened with social media? Again, it's an absolutely normal thing, is that people just started to make their own really strong connections, but not with everyone. It wasn't just like one network. There ended up being 2, 3, 7, 12, 15. Then there's literally dozens and dozens of just Christian hip hop networks that were not all necessarily tied together. So people you'd have your go-to people, but you just lost these other connections with other people that could be helpful. Even people that were in your own city, Suddenly, this idea of the social media and on life online was going to connect everyone. It didn't quite do that.
It actually went against, me, I always say to people, it's harder to promote a gig now than it was back in the day. Because what I'll do is put flyers in certain places, guaranteed that people that want to go out will go through that venues. So you hit certain points and certain events or churches, certain size churches. Nowadays, you got to do the flyers, you got to hit Facebook, you got to hit Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And also socially, people are more broad-minded today. You know what I'm saying? Where people wanted to meet people within the Christian world. When you became a teenager back in the day, you want to meet other Christians because you want to meet somebody that you might just want to meet, and also you want to meet other talented people. So the way you would do that is to go. You look for events to go to. You know what I'm saying? And I must admit, my guys, I know because I was working a lot with Sammy G in his early years, and definitely worked a lot with him on his early years. And I remember that himself. A rapper that he used to rap with, Blends, he would go over and they would always talk about this gig, Cypher. But because I ain't going there. Because when I see the word Cypher, bro, I got scared, I ain't gonna lie. Because I'm thinking like, they're all in a circle got deck and everyone's gonna spit bars. I am not spitting no bars for nobody. But what was Cypher like? What was it about?
Cypher was a barbecue. When you think about what is it that what's the thing that we're working 5 days a week, 6 days, how many every days a week you're working? What are you working for? It's that beautiful times with friends and family. Barbecue, even a British barbecue in Britain.
Yeah.
When it's what's unpredictable, what's going to be happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was asked by Lee Jackson, who was a part of another northern Christian hip hop group called HOG. And
yeah, no, Lee
they
Jackson,
had their biggest song was called Figgy Biscuits. That's how weird, once again, UK gospel hip hop started, and they ended up. Lee Jackson had a big impact on the Worldwide Message Tribe, as far as I know. That was kind of like it was him fanning the flames. But he also said, "Joel, put on this thing in Birmingham. It's the center of the country. Let's do this. I'll get my contacts from the north. You know people down in London. Let's bring everyone together."
Wow.
So it was that. Come to a barbecue. That's it. It's a simple thing, and then all you need to do is bring hip hoppers together, especially people that have got that fire and that like tenacity and are like, I just want to rip people's heads off with my lyrics. Wait till you hear. And so that meant that you just had this beautiful chemical reaction. So, it was Brighton was represented, Luton, London, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield. Then we had people from Edinburgh, and then on a few occasions people from further afield than that. But it was a beautiful vibe, and so you're like, okay, that worked. Let's do that again.
And it
just became an annual thing.
And the thing is, guys, like I speak to Wisdom a lot from Green Jade. He always refers to this event. He said, "Listen, I used to come up here, Joel. That's all he talks about is Joel. And I think that, and I'll definitely salute you, bro, on this, because like I said, from where I was in the scene at the time, that was doing something, because for the rappers, it felt like it was like, for Sammy, I think Blends, they all got to meet the likes of Jahazo, and it became a network up. And this is what we're trying to say, people. I think we have to stop building and then leaving the building derelict. You know what I'm saying? We're creating we too often we have a purpose for a building for the Commonwealth Games, word speaking, hint, and then we do up the place and tie the place. Right. And after the Commonwealth Games, nothing's been used to capacity.
Yeah.
So everyone complains about West Ham using the stadium, but I don't mind, because they're not. We haven't got a white elephant on our hands. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that and I want to definitely big you up in terms of people definitely support your music. Is it going to be now? Are you going to be even more geeky and only have it like Kanye West style, only have it on one platform, so people have to go through that platform? Are you going to have it on stems or something? Because I know you're that guy that would do that to us, and it was like, sorry guys, it's one link.
I hope that this little season will be meeting people, encouraging people, grieving with people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but like my aim is to be crying on stage, making that connection, and just like if I can pour out my heart and making that connection with people. So, it's going to be little gigs, little gigs around the Midlands, and in terms of it will be the album will be available on various platforms.
Or the usual no, definitely, because definitely when you have the gigs, make sure you hit me up, bro, because I'll be there with my cameras, and definitely want to cover that, because I think definitely to capture, and I feel that I'm finding now, bro, the importance of media in this whole thing, which we struggled with. Ownership of media platforms, of pathways. We always had to fight to get on the radio. You know what I'm saying? We had probably better joy hitting secular radio when we had hitting our own gospel radio stations and whatsoever. And it's still to the same today. That's the scary thing about it, bro. We've moved forward. The formats have moved forward. The productions have moved forward. The audiences are even less ignorant than what we had to deal with back in the day. But media in general, especially in the Christian music scene, is not playing rap at the levels. They only play maybe 1 hour, 2 hours a week. and a couple, and then the commercial favorites throughout the week, and that's really driving me forward with this project to say to people, says no, rap is the biggest form of music in the world right now.
I mean, you know, in terms of Affinity Xtra, what you are doing is you are creating this. I mean, a library. Whether you see it like this way or not, it's a library of conversations. And these are fluid conversations. And there are also moments in time of like
100%.
the George Floyd moment in time. These are like, and so you're just reacting. But what you're saying through that catalog, through that library of conversations, you're saying that people on a faith journey and Jesus followers, we're struggling. We've got wisdom to give. There's wisdom. There's a backbone. There is a legacy that's been given to us as well. So, in terms of underrepresentation, you know, the Affinity Xtra is a part of trying to combat the underrepresentation.
100%.
I mean, even talking about the underrepresentation of black footballers. And you know, and how they're treated different, the racism with that. That's an important issue. If people go, oh, Christians care about that too. That's so important.
100%.
You know, that's so what you're doing is like, you know, this cipher was sharing life. You know, it wasn't just sharing bars. It wasn't just like, hey, I've got a new project out right now. It was about people, you know, finding a place to build, to pray for and with one another. And so that's the beautiful thing, is like hip hop just ends up like spilling out into all these different parts. It kind of ends up bringing people together that need to be brought together. But yeah, I think you are helping kind of counter some of those, you know, the underrepresentation, and just like people feeling like Christians have no voice and they're irrelevant. Well,
no, we got to, and I think that we're both at the stages, even with you, your album, bro. You know, you coming from a definitely a perspective where I believe that the youngers are maybe too scared and may not know the journey, bro. Because sometimes it's our scars that of life which we don't really want to go through, but to make them trials and tribulation worth it. You know, it's not to. It's funny because people always focus on the failures of people failed. I don't want to say failed Christians, but people that fall away from the faith. Everyone focuses on there. But I say to the person who says, "What about the 10 that's still standing? What do they have to say?" And we're always too, and that's not we, but very silent. Where the person who falls away is very vocal against maybe Christianity or against what the experiences are, but we're not saying what we've gone through. And if they actually even knew, they may be still in the faith today.
Well, you know, I mean, I feel like I've been so privileged to be a small part of a scene, and to gain the wisdom of other people, because ultimately, let's just say it straight, like it's not black people that need theology. Everybody needs black theology. Everybody needs it. It's not Afrofuturists that need Afrofuturism. Everybody needs Afrofuturism. And you know, so you know, the Black Panther is this extremely important moment in film. You know, bringing to light this character that, you know, people have been loving for years and years. But like suddenly Africa is the center of the universe. So finally. I mean, that's so important. And then, like, you know, bringing. So all I'm saying is that, you know, I'm a guest. I'm a guest in hip hop. I'm a guest in as a part of the culture, and I have been blessed. And what it comes down to is that it's all got its origins in the pain and the struggle of gospel music. You know,
100%. Well, bro,
the original gospel music is the pain and the struggle of that, and it's people saying faith and extreme suffering. And these two things are together. These are life, you know. And so once we disentangle the two? Can we become this, you know, triumphalist thing? I mean, whatever's going on in the United States at the moment in certain churches, I mean, it's baffling. I do not connect with with some of the rhetoric, surely putting on this myopic way of seeing life. It's so disturbing. It's like a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Suddenly, over the last decade, more and more, it's exposed that your theology is limited. Limited. Yeah. And what you need to bring in is Southern Hemisphere, theology. You need liberation theology, Black theology, African theology, not just Black theology. African
and
this is what again. All these things, these will so impact your life. I'm going to also big up Amy Jill Levine, who's a rabbi who loves talking about Jesus all the time. Her perspective on Old and New Testament is fantastic. We need to bring in more of those Jewish voices as well. So we have, I'm going to just say this, we have all these riches, and we decide, nah, there's still people that are in and there's people that are out, and we've closed up shop in certain church traditions now, and it's highly disturbing. So as I'm saying, I feel at this time of my life that I'm, it is the ecological theologians, it's the Quakers, it's the Catholics, it's the Black theologians. Those are the people that are feeding my faith and keeping me going.
Wow.
There's a broad spectrum, and we can embrace that.
And that's the scary thing, is because tribalism, when it came to faith, Christianity is like, it's almost, we was fitting tribes and small tribes, not really realizing why we're part of these tribes. And as you grow in your faith and you ask two questions, you look at the origins and you look at certain things and whatever, and it's almost a case of critical thinking is something that we're scared of, and we don't lose faith. And obviously people can say, oh, you don't want to go like fanatic, and we're not saying we want to go like fanatic, you know what I mean? And obviously you critically think to yourself, out, but we don't know. He might be going through a journey, because you can't look at his life you're not looking at his life from an end perspective, you're looking at his life at a going through perspective. So he may be just going through what he's going through, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, bro, no, that's beautiful, bro. And I think that you're totally right. We need to embrace and really look at this thing from a wide perspective. And that's a challenge to artists as well. Artists, start to really challenge things. And maybe, guys, we might have to be knocking Joel's door and say, listen, get that Barbie open, man. You know what I mean? COVID's over. There's no more, as long as we don't need a vaccine to go into that Barbie garden, bro. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody will be all good.
That's fantastic.
But before we go, guys, I just want to 100% tell you to send you over, Joel. I'm not sure when this podcast is going to hit the airwaves, but when is your album going to hit the airwaves?
Well, my album's coming out this summer, but the single is called Still Awake.
Cool.
And that is released in early April.
Brilliant. So guys, you'll be hearing this definitely in early April. So you'll be check out for the single and get ready for the album. When the album's out there, what I'm doing, bro, is going around to different local events and whatever, recording elements of it and putting them on the YouTube so people can get to see what's going on in the vibe and what's going on. And I know your vibe is the next vibe, so I'm looking forward to that. So definitely keep us informed about the tours and events they got going on and whatsoever. So I'm really excited about that, guys, man. But listen, guys, I am on Affinity Xtra. We're here to celebrate gospel music of Black origin, and I have got one of the dudes that have been here from the 90s alongside with me today and had a great conversation. I feel like there needs to be part 10, 20 to this as well, and many more parts. And I'll be definitely in the next Hip Hop Live, I know somebody to come in here and we can definitely have fun talking about the best rapper of all time. Because I got myself in trouble with that one. I'm getting messages back about we decided who was the best rapper of all time, and then we ended up with Steve the Levi, and all my friends just texting me, what are you about? So they get shut up. So it's very,
it's fun. I mean, that's a fun moment. That's a fun thing to do. There's the making lists, making hip hop lists. There's another thing that's going to be happening is this year I've got a 5-episode podcast called Rap Tapestry, in which myself and my friend, who's known as Casper Grant, another incredible MC from Birmingham, and what we do is we just talk about what we love. just talk about the MCs that we love.
Wow.
What, you know, the favorite gigs we've ever been to.
Cool.
You know? So
Yes,
in terms of favorite rappers,
Yeah.
there's loads of contenders. So yeah, I'm fine with people. You know, we all have this whole conversation is so clear that we all have a different window. Just our life experience means we have a different window into hip hop, and they overlap. They overlap. But actually, what you think is the best and what I think is best, of course, we're gonna come with different things.
I like the way you said that. You know,
of course we are.
I tell you who it ain't. He's trying to say it ain't Steve the Levi. That's what he's trying to say there. I'm a diplomatic guy, I like him. He'll say, well, listen, guys, nothing but love. You hear much more from Jeol over the course of this year, God's sparing life, and you'll be hearing this out there. Please support his music, his creativity, and it's Jeol, the Custodian. And this is how we do it, man. Nothing but love, people.
Thank you for watching the content we're putting out. Listen, make sure that you are liking, subscribing and following us on all our social channels, including patreon.com. Make sure you're finding us on there to support what we do so we can support you. And remember, guys, be extra.